What's up everybody? Welcome to another Wartales video, and in this one we're talking Swordsman. That's right, easily one of my favorite characters and a character that I always start with because they're carrying the early game so well. They're very powerful from start to finish. So you know Ranlin from my showcase video, we're gonna use him to talk about the class. So blacksmith profession for him for sure for the plus 10 strength. Now let's go over the skills first and then we'll talk about the stats. So we're going fighter for him for the heavy armor and of course for the destabilizing strike. Very powerful skill. This is one of the best skills in the game. It allows you to knock out the guard from tanky enemies. Also guarantees critical hit against enemies that don't have guard, such as archers and rogues and stuff like that. It will also be guaranteed crit against enemies that have their armor broken. I want to mention here the new profession here, Duelist. It came with 1.0. You can get it in Gothenburg. After beating the arenas there, just go and talk to the guy at the Roost Field. Now, I don't like this class. It's medium armor and it's built around retaliating and exchanging strikes. But you don't want to do that when you're in medium armor. It just makes no sense to me. It's definitely not as good as Fighter. For level 3 Valor's Duo, obviously, we have single target attacks. Level 5 counter attack. This is extremely strong and useful skill. It gives you riposte, and the best thing about it is the inspiration. So you can run in and run out, just like we talked about this ability with the Vanguard when in the previous video for the brutes. Now for level 8, this was one of the weaknesses of the class because the level 8 skills kind of sucked. But now from Duelist, we're getting Master Opportunist. Very strong skill. As you can see, increasing our attacks of opportunity by 50% and reducing the attacks of opportunities that we're taking by 50%. Absolutely amazing skill. This makes the class very close to the Brute Mace and Shield. I would say the Brute is still a little bit better. This one is very close second. For level 10, without a doubt defensive riposte, because we're taking very little damage from attacks of opportunities and our attack of opportunity is dealing a lot of damage, so it's a great skill for our build. And for level 12, we're going for the AoE buff. It buffs him as well, so it's very powerful. 30 crit and 30 critical damage. You'll see now with the stat, we're reaching almost 100 crit. So now for the stat, as you can see, I'm not building it full crit, like let's say on the Vanguard, because this class lacks a little bit on the primary attribute if you don't invest in it, because the strength one-hand weapons are usually not as much primary attribute as, let's say, the daggers. As you can see, the dagger has almost double the primary attribute than the sword. So even from min-maxing point of view, having points in strength helps a lot, because you see now we do a lot of attack of opportunities and they're based on our strength. Also 60 plus crit is not bad for a tank. You will be critting a lot, and if you sometimes don't crit, it's not as bad. You're a tank, so not a problem. As I mentioned, this is one of my starting characters, so bloodthirsty and quick. As for movement, now we have a lot of movement because of the food, and we have Lair of the Rat again because the game is broken and we couldn't get the Lair of the Serpent. But without the food buffs, we only invested 2 aptitude points, so we're gonna have 13 with heavy armor and then 15 with food, and that's if we change the Lair of the Rat with Serpent, which I recommend, because the more strength the better, right? So now the gear. I'm using this sword. It's a new sword from 1.0. It's from the tomb in the new zone Alazar. I find it very useful because of the ability that it has. The killing blow is giving us 2 valor. So with this guy we can build our valor when we need it, and we always need it, so it's pretty good. But another sword that you could use is Glory. That's from one of the arenas in Gothenburg. I've used this sword for most of the game. It's a little bit defensive. I don't really like defensive builds, but you know, it could help while leveling up when you're not so strong yet. It gives you protection every time you use the basic attack, so it makes you more tanky. It's pretty good. For the armor, I went with the Inquisition Segmenta, it's armor that gives you critical hit, and then you can supplement it with layers. So as you can see, plus 10 crit, very nice, because we're a little bit low on the crit on this build. And for the shield, I chose to go with the Peace Bearer Rondo because this character has a lot of guard, 64 guard. So that's basically 32% damage increase. So we might argue that one of these shields with active abilities might be better because it will proc attack of opportunity more often, but I just like the high damage that he can do with this shield equipped, and he's getting a lot of riposte, a lot of attack of opportunities anyway. So it's kind of a personal preference how you want to use it. I like it this way, but I'm not saying it's the best. As for oil, in the end game, you should always be using unstable oil on your melee characters. We're keeping the sharpening oil on him instead of perforating oil because we have a skill that deals with the guard, and we kind of need the boost in crit. Unstable oil concentrate is a must for all characters that use unstable oil basically. For this class especially because it has devastating attack of opportunities. So while leveling up, one of the best things you can use them for is to run in, get rid of some pesky bomber, or in this case the captain, because it's giving them speed. So all you gotta, like, I'm gonna kill him outright if I hit him. So when you're leveling up, maybe you won't be able to one-shot them. Not right away at least, maybe when you get to like level 7, 8. But in any case, in this situation, I'm gonna taunt him because that's how the counter attack works. We have to disengage for any reason, with run, with killing the enemy, or just with the disengage button to activate inspiration. So I'm just gonna smack him, and there you go, we have inspiration, and now we can run out wherever we want to safety or to attack somebody else. So it's very useful. I know you guys don't like the bombers at all and the other archers, especially in the beginning. So having this ability is so good. Now let's see what he can do against this fighter. So we're gonna destabilize his guard, and there you go. He immediately did an attack of opportunity. Unfortunately, it was not a crit. Otherwise, it probably would have allowed us to use Rat and kill him. But it matters not. Once he attacks us the next round, he will die. Another thing is we can just use the disengage, and then... he survived. Wow. So lucky. But anyway, this is one thing. So if you want to go full attack though, buff yourself first. Alright. So we have the same fight now. That's why we take this bravery skill, because Zeo's AoE buff is very nice. You can sometimes buff your whole group if you're lucky with the placements. So now we have 96% crit with 140% critical damage. Absolutely insane. So we're just gonna start slapping everybody. This guy's seasoned, but this will not help him at all. There you go. So I'm just gonna fast forward to when this guy attacks us. So yeah, you've seen what happened. The guy barely scratched us, and the riposte attack was absolutely devastating. I don't know how he survived. He got lucky, I guess. Keep in mind, those units are some of the strongest units in the game. They're all very tanky, even the medium armor guys. They have high armor. And the last scenario I wanted to go over is when he's like fully buffed. So with brutality from our warrior. So brutality plus Zeo. We're looking at some insane damage. So I'm just gonna attack this guy that retaliates non-stop. Because we can retaliate too, right? And now for one of my favorite builds in the entire game. I've come up with this build exactly 1 year ago when I was doing my guides for the Harax Marshland update. Those were, by the way, my first videos on the channel. So actually I'm gonna have to show you some footage from there to see how the build actually works, because unfortunately for us, the game is broken now and doesn't give the path quest behind which the conversion oil is hidden or locked. Basically, this oil is the enabler of this build. So first of all, I wanted to say that even though I really like two-handed swords in every game, in this game, they kind of suck. Like there's no greatsword that matches, you know, the power of, let's say, the Dagon's hammer or the splitter. Like it's just they're not good except for this sword, the Inquisition sword. So the trick with it is that you take damage so you can do damage, which is kind of cool, right? Like just the very idea of, you know, hurting yourself so you can hurt them more. It's kind of cool, no? So yeah, the way you see the sword, this is no star. So with 2 stars, it's gonna be like maybe like 7, 9, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong though. I still haven't farmed it because the conversion oil is not here. It's not in the game at the moment, and it's not usable for me. That's why I don't have a specific character, but I would use solitary and quick, or solitary and bloodthirsty. Now again, you want to build this character like you build the Vanguard, maximum crit. So if you can get like 80, 90 crit, it's very good. As for the skills, we're going with Swordmaster. Of course, for the laceration, it's a very, very powerful attack. It hits twice for a lot of damage. If you compare the damage of the other AoE attacks, this is one of the most powerful AoE attacks in the game. Of course, Valor's Chain, counterattack on this character, on this class as well, for the inspiration. And you'll see in the video a little later that the riposte can be used and it's very good. And actually, we're going with Master Opportunist because we will be using riposte. For level 10, we're taking defensive riposte. Obviously, this is the only skill that makes sense on level 10. And then for level 12, since we're already running a swordsman with the zeal buff, we're gonna take another level 8 passive skill. It's last stand. He will be able to use that. He's gonna get hit, and the medium armor is not a lot of armor, so he'll have a chance to use this ability, especially after AoE attacks. We wanna taunt somebody to trigger the riposte and to trigger the inspiration after we disengage, killing him or choosing to disengage on our own. Whatever the case, we need that mobility, so this skill fits with our build. Now I haven't tried actually this character now. I'm gonna try it for the first time. It's not ideal. Like I said, we don't have the conversion route to recover health, but I just want to see the damage. Also, with a proper two-handed swordsman character with the 5% extra crit and like basically the equivalent of duelist, so crit damage, critical hit. So it's not an ideal situation, but let's go ahead and try our damage anyway. Even with this character, of course, I would always recommend for AoE builds solitary. Go for solitary. It's so important. These 10% damage can help a lot. Even if you get just solitary, that's fine. 3% crit is not as important as 10% raw damage. And here we are in a fight. These enemies are the strongest in the game, especially this one, Seasoned Defender. This is the toughest guy you can possibly fight. We have another Seasoned Medium Armor here, so let's test what we can do. It's not gonna be ideal, but I wanted to mention here, if you didn't realize already, this one of the best things about this sword is that it ignores guard. So you won't be able to kill Defender, especially a seasoned one, and not a lot of classes can like one-shot the Defender, to be honest, especially, you know, melee characters. But the fact that this sword has this allows you to skip perforating oil. You could consider putting perforating oil instead of sharpening oil if you manage to get your crit high enough. So it's gonna vary based on how many aptitude points you earn from random events, and if you feed kills to this character specifically from champion kills. So the AoE arc is not bad. It's not as good as Dagon's hammer, obviously, but it actually matches the same pattern as the laceration. And not bad at all. This is with our character that is not actually made for this class. So I'm pretty happy with the damage. Like, I think we can possibly destroy this guy's armor if we had the correct build, because if you have the pocket knife, that extra 15% damage would have knocked out that shield, I think. So all in all, I'm pretty happy. Let's see what we're gonna do on the light armor guy. Laceration. and very good actually. This guy is super tanky, so it's understandable that he survived. So basically, yeah, it's not gonna be as good as your Dagenhammer. Obviously, the Dagenhammer brute is just the best AoE. It quite possibly do a little less damage than the Executioner, but the Executioner cannot escape like this guy. Okay, so and we're gonna disengage. Very nice, actually. We killed the defender in this way, but unfortunately, because he put confused on us, we could not get our inspiration buff. So this would have worked against any other group. Just this confused state is really annoying. So normally we would have had our movement doubled, so we could actually go and finish this phalanx soldier with our rat and escape back to safety. And with the conversion oil, our health would have been back to 100%. And now I'm gonna roll a footage from my first video from a year ago, and you'll see how it works actually. My mic was so bad back then, but we got a lot of improvements, so please like and subscribe. On the other side, we got our AoE Swordsman. There we go. Good swing, but no crits, unfortunately. He's able to heal himself and do enough. Now we wanna use Rat to finish that enemy off, get Fury, and then we're gonna taunt the other enemy so we can trigger the counter attack ability. We're not gonna finish him off here because we want to finish him off with the archer. And there we go, counter attack, 299, devastating attack. And now check this out. Our swordsman is gonna run like a maniac across the whole battlefield. He will get the brutality buff from the spearman and just destroy these two enemies. And with this we conclude the video. It's already pretty long. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hex out.